Viral stories of mysteries are common on the internet, and to me, some of the most unsettling are the unexplained. From strange jelly-like blobs that rained down from the sky and made people sick, to green kids appearing out of nowhere speaking an alien language, and even 400 plus people dancing uncontrollably for days on end, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. These are the most bizarre and unexplained mysteries from around the world. The Salish Sea, located between the northwestern United States and southwestern Canada, is known for its stunning beauty and rich marine life. This body of water, encompassing the Strait of Georgia, the Strait of Juan de Fuca, and Puget Sound, is home to diverse ecosystems and vibrant coastal communities. However, since 2007, this serene, picturesque region has been the site of a chilling and perplexing mystery. Over the past 2 decades, at least 20 human feet, still in their shoes, have washed ashore around the Salish Sea. The first foot was discovered on August 20th, 2007 on Jedediah Island in British Columbia. The shoe, which was a men's size 12, was not just any old trash. Oh no, upon closer inspection, the girl discovered that it also contained a human foot. This initial discovery was soon followed by more feet found on both sides of the border, sparking fear, curiosity, and rampant speculation among locals and authorities alike. Theories about the origins of these feet range from accidents and natural disasters to more sinister explanations. Some believe the feet belong to victims of foul play, suggesting that the individuals may have met with violent ends. Others think the feet could be from people who died in boating accidents, plane crashes, or were swept away by powerful currents while swimming or engaging in other water activities. The possibility of natural disasters such as tsunamis or floods displacing bodies has also been considered. The decomposition process in water can cause bodies to come apart at the joints, and the nature of modern sneakers can cause feet to float to the surface and eventually wash ashore. This phenomenon occurs because the materials used in contemporary footwear, such as foam and rubber, are designed to be light and buoyant. However, the sheer number of feet found in this specific area is unusual and has led to much speculation and concern. Despite extensive investigations by law enforcement agencies and forensic experts, many of the feet remain unidentified. DNA testing has helped link some of the feet to missing persons, providing closure to a few grieving families. However, the mystery of why so many feet have washed ashore in this specific area remains unsolved. I'm no scientist, of course, but maybe it has something to do with the current, or maybe this is just a place where families can get closure. I know that's gruesome, but I'd rather know something years later than nothing at all. As the investigation continues, the hope remains that advances in forensic science and technology will eventually provide more answers. Until then, the Salish Sea will remain not only a place of natural beauty and ecological significance, but also a region surrounded in mystery and unanswered questions. This is the story of the Allagash Abductions. Our story begins in August 1976, when 4 friends, Jim Weiner, Jack Weiner, Chuck Rack, and Charlie Foles, decided to embark on a 2-week camping trip to the remote Allagash wilderness. Little did they know, this trip would change their lives forever. On the second night of their trip, the group noticed a strange bright light in the sky. At first, they thought it was a helicopter or a plane, but as the light grew closer, they realized it was something far more unusual. The light seemed to follow them as they paddled their canoe on the lake. Suddenly, the light engulfed them, and the next thing they knew, they were back on the shore with no memory of how they got there. The fire they had started earlier was now just embers, indicating that several hours had passed. Confused and frightened, they decided to keep the incident to themselves. As the days went by, the friends couldn't shake the feeling that something extraordinary had happened to them. They continued their camping trip, but the memory of the night lingered in their minds. They tried to rationalize the experience, attributing it to exhaustion or a collective hallucination, but deep down, they knew something was wrong. Years later, the men began experiencing disturbing flashbacks and nightmares. Under hypnosis, they each recounted similar stories of the incident, such as being taken aboard a spacecraft, trapped inside a tube, and medically examined by strange humanoid beings. Their detailed and consistent accounts had led many to believe they were being abducted by extraterrestrials. Jim was an artist and began to draw vivid images of the beings and the interior of the spacecraft. His drawings were eerily similar to those of other alleged abductees, adding credibility to their claims.
They don't know what to do. I think they think I'm going to come after them. I feel like I want to. I feel like I want to. The first one that comes near me, I'm going to throttle them. That's what I want to do, is throttle them. I don't like these things. I don't care where they come from. They shouldn't be doing this to people. They're right there. Their face is right in my face. I don't know why. I don't want to know. I don't want to know what they want. Oh, they're saying things. They're explaining things with their eyes. In my head, they're saying, "Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. We won't harm you." They say, "Do what we say. Just do what we say."
Despite numerous investigations and the men's unwavering testimonies, the Allagash abductions remain one of Maine's most bizarre and unsolved cases. Were these men truly taken by beings from another world, or is there another explanation for their shared experience? Over the years, skeptics have proposed various theories to explain the Allagash abductions, ranging from sleep paralysis to false memories induced by hypnosis. Some have suggested that the men may have been influenced by popular culture and media, leading them to fabricate or embellish the stories. However, the consistency and detail of their accounts have made it difficult to dismiss their claims entirely, with all four passing lie detector tests and being deemed mentally stable. That's not to say the case hasn't had a profound impact on their lives. Chuck has been vocal about his skepticism regarding the abduction, stating that some parts of the story were fabricated, and has since distanced himself from the group. Charlie, Jack, and Jim stand by the original story and have participated in UFO conventions and interviews. Whether you believe in the existence of extraterrestrial beings or not, the story of the Allagash abduction serves as a powerful reminder of the enduring human quest for knowledge and the search for truth in the face of the unknown. This story begins in the small village of Woolpit, located in Suffolk, England, a quaint village with picturesque landscapes and serene environments. Around the year 1150, the villagers of Woolpit made a startling discovery. Near the edge of the village, two young children were found, a boy and a girl. But these were no ordinary children. Their skin was green, and they spoke in a language no one could understand. The villagers were both bewildered and fascinated by these mysterious children, and news of their discovery quickly spread throughout the region. They were offered a variety of foods, but they were refused to eat anything except for raw broad beans. This peculiar diet only added to the mystery surrounding them. Over time, however, they gradually adapted to other foods, and their green skin slowly faded, much to the relief of their caretakers. As the children learned to speak English, they shared their story. They claimed to come from a place called St. Martin's Land, where the sun never shined and the light was like twilight. They described their homeland as a place where everything was green, the trees, the grass, and even the people. The strange and otherworldly description left the villagers in awe and wonder. They couldn't help but speculate about the origins of these mysterious children. Tragically, the boy became ill and died shortly after being baptized. His death was a somber event that cast a shadow over the village. The girl, however, adjusted to her new life and was eventually baptized. She went on to live and work in the village, and some accounts even suggest she married and had children. Her integration into the community was seen as a testament of the resilience of the human spirit. So, who were the children of Woolpit? Some believed they were descendants of Flemish immigrants who had been persecuted and fled into the forest. This theory suggests that their green skin was a result of malnutrition, and their strange language was simply Flemish. Others think the story is a folktale, perhaps describing an encounter with beings from another world. This more fantastical interpretation has fueled countless legends and stories over the centuries. Whatever the truth may be, each retelling adds new layers of intrigue and wonder. Whether viewed as a historical event or a captivating myth, it is a tale that will never cease to enchant and inspire. In 1518, the residents of Strasbourg, a city in the Holy Roman Empire, were struck by an uncontrollable urge to dance. It all began when a woman named Frau Trophea stepped into the street and started moving her body. Limb by limb, her moves started to get more erratic, her arms flailing, legs moving side to side, hips thrusting without a care in the world. By now, her whole body was feeling it. Frau's movements were unpredictable and she couldn't stop, as if she was possessed. Her face was emotionless, completely detached to what was happening. The sun had begun to set. Hours had passed and blood was oozing from her blisters. She was exhausted and beaten, but her body kept moving. As Frau Trophea danced for nearly a week without sleep, spectators were enchanted, and one by one they began to dance as if it were contagious. 30 days had passed and the number of dancers had grown to around 400. People danced day and night nonstop, even as they collapsed from exhaustion, strokes, or heart attacks. The city was in chaos, with the sound of frantic dancing echoing through the streets. Remember those Harlem Shake videos? This is literally what I imagine the town would have looked like. As if this wasn't crazy enough, musicians were brought in to play music in an attempt to keep the dancers moving, hoping they would eventually tire themselves out. Historical records, including physician notes and city council documents, confirm this strange phenomenon. But what caused it and when did it stop? There are several theories. One popular theory is that the dancing plague was a case of mass hysteria, triggered by the extreme stress and hardships of the time, including disease and famine. The people of Strasbourg were living in a period of great turmoil, with widespread suffering and uncertainty. This collective anxiety may have manifested in the form of a dancing mania, as a way for the community to cope with their overwhelming emotions. Another theory suggests that the dancers might have ingested ergot, which is a toxic mold that grows on damp rye and can cause hallucinations and spasms. Ergot poisoning, also known as St. Anthony's fire, can produce symptoms such as convulsions, delusions, and a sensation of burning in the limbs. It's possible that contaminated bread or grain led to the outbreak of uncontrollable dancing. Some believe the plague was linked to Saint Vitus, a Catholic saint thought to have the power to curse people with a dancing mania. Saint Vitus was often invoked in times of distress, and it was believed that the afflicted by the dancing plague were under his influence. The afflicted were eventually taken to a mountaintop shrine dedicated to Saint Vitus to pray for absolution, and by September, the dancing had subsided. The pilgrimage to the shrine was seen as a way to seek divine intervention and relief from the curse. All I can picture is a bunch of people like moonwalking to the top of the mountain. While the exact cause of the dancing plague of 1518 remains a mystery, it serves as a fascinating glimpse into the human psyche and the power of collective behavior. This bizarre event highlights how psychological and social factors can intertwine to produce extraordinary phenomena. So yeah, we basically have no idea what the f happened. This might be the most spine-chilling incident to ever occur in the quiet state of Iowa. Our story begins in the small town of Van Meter in the year 1903. Van Meter was a peaceful place where everyone knew each other and life was simple. The town was known for its close-knit community where neighbors looked out for one another, and the biggest excitement was the annual county fair. But that all changed when a series of strange and terrifying events unfolded over the course of several days. The first sighting on a cool autumn night was by U.G. Griffith, a local businessman who was returning home late at night when he saw the creature perched on the top of a building. He described it as being unlike anything he had ever seen before, with a presence that sent chills down his spine. Several of Van Meter's most respected citizens reported seeing a half-human, half-animal creature with enormous bat wings flying around the town. The creature was described as having a powerful stench and shooting up blinding light from its horned head. Despite being shot by the townsfolk, the creature seemed unfazed and continued to terrorize the town. The next night, the creature was spotted again, this time by Peter Dunn, the town's doctor. Dr. Dunn was awoken in the middle of the night by a strange noise outside his window. When he looked out, he saw the creature standing in the middle of the street, its eyes glowing with an eerie light. He quickly grabbed his rifle, fired at the creature, and it simply flew away, seemingly unharmed. The following morning, Dr. Dunn shared his experience with the townfolk, who were now growing increasingly alarmed. The sightings continued and more people came forward with their own stories, each with their own harrowing tale of their encounter. The townsfolk were convinced that they were dealing with a demon and fear began to grip the community. In a desperate attempt to rid the town of the creature, a group of citizens armed themselves and chased the beast into a nearby mine. The mine, which had been abandoned for years, was a dark and decrepit place, and the townsfolk were hesitant to enter. However, their determination to rid their town of the creature outweighed their fear, and they ventured into the mine, torches and weapons in hand. As they descended deeper into the mine, they could hear the creature's screeches echoing off the walls. Finally, they reached a large cavern where they saw the creature standing in the center, its eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. The townsfolk fired their weapons at the creature, but it simply flew deeper into the mine, disappearing into the darkness, never to be seen again. To this day, the mystery of the visitor of Van Meter remains unsolved. Was it a demon, a cryptid, or something else entirely? The truth may never be known, but the visitor of Van Meter continues to haunt the town and captivate the imaginations of those who hear the story. The old mine still stands on the outskirts of town, a silent reminder of the terrifying events that took place over a century ago. Some say that on quiet nights, you can still hear the creature's screeches echoing through the mine, a chilling reminder that the visitor of Van Meter may still be lurking in the shadows, waiting to return. This story begins in the small town of Circleville, Ohio, in the late 1970s. Circleville was a quiet, close-knit community where everyone knew each other. However, the peace was shattered when thousands of residents started receiving mysterious letters that contained personal information about their lives. These letters were written in block style and were filled with vindictive, violent, and vulgar material. The letters targeted various aspects of the recipients' lives, including their personal relationships, work, and even their darkest secrets. Thousands of these threatening letters were sent to both city officials and average citizens alike. The letters continued to arrive for years, causing fear and paranoia among the residents. People began to suspect their neighbors, friends, and even family members. The atmosphere in Circleville became tense, with everyone wondering who could be behind such a malicious campaign. But the mystery doesn't end there. In 1977, one of the letter recipients, Mary Gillespie, found herself at the center of the mystery. Mary was a school bus driver, and her husband, Ron, received a letter warning him to stop his wife's alleged affair with the school superintendent. Despite the warning, Ron continued his normal routine until one fateful night. On August 19, 1977, Ron received a phone call that seemed to agitate him. He grabbed his gun and left the house, only to be found dead in his car a short distance away. The car had crashed and Ron had a single gunshot wound. The authorities ruled it an accident, but many believed it was connected to the Circleville letters. The circumstances surrounding Ron's death were suspicious, and the community was left with more questions than answers. Years went by, and the letters continued to pour in. The residents of Circleville lived in constant fear, not knowing who would be targeted next. In 1983, Paul Freshner, Mary's brother-in-law, was arrested and convicted of writing the letters and attempting to murder Mary. The evidence against Paul was largely circumstantial, and many believed he was wrongfully convicted. However, even after Paul was in prison, the letters continued, leaving everyone baffled. The letters stopped in 1994, and to this day, the true identity of the Circleville letter writer remains unknown. It's hard to imagine that an individual would have access to all of these residents' personal information and the resources to write all of these letters in the time before the internet we know today. With Circleville being 25 miles from the closest FBI office, I think it could have been the FBI performing some sort of psyop to test and distract from the events of the 70s. I mean, they're the ones with the resources and the people to do something like this on this scale, so it wouldn't be a stretch in my opinion. But to this day, the mystery remains unsolved, and the residents of Circleville have been left to wonder if the letter writer is still among them. This story begins in the small town of Oakville, Washington in August 1994. On a seemingly ordinary day, something extraordinary happened. Residents of Oakville reported that a clear gelatinous substance had rained down from the sky. This bizarre phenomenon occurred 6 times over a 3-week period. The blobs were described as small, translucent, and jelly-like. The residents didn't think anything of it at the time, but what made this event so unsettling was the effect it had on the population. Many people in Oakville became violently ill, experienced severe flu-like symptoms that lasted for weeks. Pets were also affected, with some even dying after coming into contact with the mysterious substance. In the days following the first occurrence, the town was abuzz with speculation and fear. Local authorities were flooded with calls from concerned residents, and the media quickly picked up on the story, dubbing the phenomenon the Oakville Blobs. Scientists and researchers from various institutions arrived in Oakville, eager to study the strange substance and uncover its origins. One of the most puzzling aspects of the Oakville blobs was their composition. Initial tests revealed the presence of human white blood cells, but further analysis showed that the blobs also contained a variety of bacteria and other microorganisms. This led some to theorize that the substance might have originated from a biological experiment or a secret military project. However, no concrete evidence was ever found to support these claims. As the weeks went by, the mystery deepened. Some residents reported seeing strange lights in the sky on the nights when the blobs fell, leading to speculation about extraterrestrial involvement. Others believed that the phenomenon was a result of environmental pollution or a natural disaster that had somehow gone unnoticed. Despite the numerous theories and investigations, the Oakville blobs remained a mystery. The town eventually returned to normal, but the memory of these strange jelly-like blobs continued to haunt the residents. Some people moved away, unable to shake the feeling of unease that the event had left behind. Others stayed, determined to uncover the truth and find answers to the questions that still lingered. Despite the attention and interest, the true nature of the Oakville blobs remains an enigma. I don't know, guys. Sounds like a government cover-up to me. I'm no scientist, but human white blood cells make me think they grinded people in a jelly. Maybe they rained the blobs down on the wrong city. I mean, you obviously wouldn't want your own people to be sick, right? What do you think caused Oakville blobs? Could it have been a secret experiment, a natural phenomenon, or something even more extraordinary? It was a clear, sunny day on March 3rd, 1876 in Olympia Springs, Kentucky, and the residents of the town witnessed something that defies explanation to this day. Large chunks of meat rained down from the sky. Yes, you heard that right, meat. Witnesses reported seeing pieces of meat ranging from small flakes to chunks as large as 3 inches, falling from the sky, covering about half an acre. The sight of the meat falling from the sky was shocking, leaving the residents in a state of disbelief and curiosity. Naturally, this strange event sparked numerous theories and speculations. Some believe it was a supernatural occurrence, while others thought it might be a prank. Scientists who examined the meat samples had different opinions, though. One of the most popular explanations came from Dr. L.D. Kastenbein, who published his findings in the Louisville Medical News, and he concluded that the meat was likely the result of a flock of vultures vomiting while flying overhead. Vultures are known to regurgitate their food when threatened, and this theory seemed to fit the circumstances. However, the idea that a flock of vultures, all simultaneously vomiting their meals, causing the meat to rain down over such a large area, was contentious and debatable and highly unlikely. Despite the theories, the meat shower of 1876 remains one of Kentucky's most bizarre and unsolved mysteries. A piece of the meat is still on display at Transylvania University, serving as a reminder of this strange event. The preserved meat continues to attract curious visitors and researchers, all eager to uncover the truth behind this peculiar occurrence. Some people believe that the event was a sign or an omen, while others see it as a quirky and unexplained anomaly. My question is, why can't anyone test the meat for vulture DNA? If that's the only plausible theory, certainly they can prove that Dr. Kastenbein is correct or scrap that theory altogether. So, what do you think made the meat rain from the sky? Was it an unexplained natural phenomenon, an elaborate prank, or something else entirely? The Alaska Triangle is a region in the last frontier that stretches between Ugavik, Anchorage, and Juneau. But what makes this place so eerie? Over the years, more than 20,000 people have vanished without a trace in this mysterious area. On August 16, 1972, a small passenger plane carrying U.S. House Majority Leader Hale Boggs and Representative Nick Begich were headed to a campaign fundraiser. The plane and passengers mysteriously vanished while en route from Anchorage to Juneau. A massive military search operation began shortly after, covering 325,000 square miles. Search and rescue aircraft, United States Coast Guard, Navy, Army, Air Force, and even civilians were deployed to look for the men and the missing plane. This lasted over 39 days. Mysteriously, the plane's tracker was missing, even though there was a witness that saw the pilot had one. No trace of the plane or its passengers was ever found. The disappearances didn't stop there though. Over the years, more planes have crashed, hikers have vanished, locals and tourists alike have seemingly disappeared into thin air. Some believe that the Alaska Triangle is home to powerful energy vortexes, while others speculate about UFO sightings and paranormal activity. The Alaskan Triangle is not just a modern phenomenon. Indigenous Alaskan tribes have long spoken of strange occurrences and malevolent spirits in the region. The Tlingit people, for example, tell tales of the Kushtaka, a shape-shifting creature that lures people to their doom. These stories pass down through generations add a layer of mystique and fear to the area. Another theory points to the presence of large deposits of magnetic anomalies in the region. These anomalies could potentially interfere with navigational instruments, leading to planes and hikers becoming disoriented and lost. Some researchers even speculate that these magnetic fields could create energy vortexes, similar to those believed to exist in other mysterious locations around the world, just like the Bermuda Triangle. What could be causing these mysterious disappearances? Is it the harsh and unforgiving environment of Alaska? Or is there something more sinister at play? The truth remains unknown, and the Alaska Triangle continues to baffle and intrigue those who dare to explore its secrets. On the evening of March 13, 1997, thousands of people across Arizona, Nevada, and even parts of Mexico witnessed something extraordinary in the night sky. From 7:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m., a series of mysterious lights were seen moving across the sky. These lights formed a distinct V-shaped pattern, leaving witnesses in awe and confusion. The phenomenon became known as the Phoenix Lights. There were two distinct events that night. The first event was a triangular formation of lights that traveled across the sky, while the second event involved a series of stationary lights that appeared over the Phoenix region. The official explanation from the US Air Force was that the lights were flares dropped by an A-10 Warthog aircraft during a training exercise. However, many skeptics and enthusiasts question this explanation. They argue that the light's behavior and formation were inconsistent with flares, which typically drift and flicker as they fall to the ground. Instead, the lights maintained a steady formation and brightness, leading some to believe that they were of extraterrestrial origin. Oh brother, not the government censoring the lizard people again. I'm calling straight baloney on their explanation. Looking at this footage, this doesn't behave like flares to me at all. The Phoenix Lights have since become a significant event in UFO history, sparking debates and discussions about the possibility of extraterrestrial light. Some researchers have suggested that the lights were part of a secret military project, while others believe that they were a natural phenomenon, such as ball lighting or a rare atmospheric event. Despite the many theories, no definitive explanation has been found, and the true nature of the Phoenix Lights remains a mystery. On August 15, 1977, Dr. Jerry R. Eyman, a volunteer astronomer working on the SETI project, detected a strong, narrow-band radio signal from the constellation Sagittarius. This signal, which lasted for 72 seconds, was so unusual that Dr. Eyman circled it on the computer printout and wrote, "Wow," in the margin, giving the signal its famous name. Okay, before I lose you, let me explain why this is so crazy. Hydrogen makes up methane, which is what our bodies produce when we, fart. Also, our bodies are made of mostly water, which is made of mostly hydrogen. The wow signal stood out because it was so much stronger than the background noise and had a frequency of 1420 megahertz, which is hydrogen's frequency. This is significant because the frequency is a signal that an advanced civilization would use to communicate, since it is the most abundant element and is a universal constant and signifies water-based life. So for someone to detect a strong lengthy signal of hydrogen would mean that an alien life form is trying to communicate with us based on what we naturally produce and what we are made of. The aliens basically just said,
"Hey, we're the same and we're here."
Crazy, right? As humans are constantly searching for life outside of Earth, this is the most definitive scientific evidence of alien life forms. Despite numerous attempts to detect the signal again, it has never been observed since. This has led to various theories about its origin, ranging from natural celestial phenomenon to the possibility of an extraterrestrial source. Some scientists believe the signal could have been caused by a passing comet, while others think it might have been a reflection of a terrestrial signal. However, no definitive explanation has been found. The WOW signal remains one of the most compelling pieces of evidence for the possibility of extraterrestrial intelligence. It reminds us that the universe is full of wonders waiting to be discovered. On December 4th, 1872, the British ship De Gratia stumbled upon a ship adrift in the Atlantic Ocean about 400 miles east of the Azores. This ship was none other than the Mary Celeste. The Mary Celeste was a Canadian-built, American-registered merchant ship. She set sail from New York City on November 7, 1872, bound for Genoa, Italy, with a cargo of industrial alcohol. Aboard were Captain Benjamin S. Briggs, his wife Sarah, their 2-year-old daughter Sophia, and 8 crew members. When the De Gratia crew boarded the Mary Celeste, they found the lifeboat was missing, and there were several feet of water in the hold. However, the cargo was intact, and there were ample provisions for 6 months. The crew's personal belongings were undisturbed, and the ship's logbook was up to date until 10 days before the discovery. The last entry was made on November 25, 1872, and there was no indication of any impending disaster. The ship was in disarray, but still seaworthy. So, what happened to the crew of Mary Celeste? Over the years, numerous theories have emerged, ranging from mutiny and piracy to more fantastical explanations like sea monsters and paranormal activity. One popular theory suggests that the crew abandoned ship due to an explosion caused by fumes from the alcohol cargo. This theory suggests the crew feared an imminent explosion, so they abandoned ship in the lifeboat, only to then be lost at sea. However, the relatively good condition of the ship and the lack of signs of struggle or violence make these theories less likely. The salvage hearings in Gibraltar considered various possibilities, but no conclusive evidence was found. The court found no evidence of foul play, and the crew of the De Gratia was awarded a small salvage payment. The mystery of the Mary Celeste remains unsolved to this day, and it continues to be a subject of fascination and speculation. So, what do you think is the most plausible theory? I think the De Gratia encountered the Mary Celeste around their last known location and decided to pirate the ship once it got back to sea, dumping Briggs, his family, and the crew. To top it off, they got rid of the lifeboats and staged the Mary Celeste to look like it was on a wreck to bring it back for a high-paying salvage payment. Oak Island, located off the coast of Nova Scotia, Canada, has been the center of treasure hunting for over 200 years. The story begins in 1795 when a teenager named Daniel McGinnis discovered a strange depression in the ground. Curious as to what it was, he started digging and found layers of wooden platforms every 10 feet and was baffled by how someone could create this. Little did he know, this would lead to one of the most famous treasure hunts in history. As word got around about the shaft, now known as the Money Pit, many people started to see this hole for themselves. 9 years into the collective dig, Simeon Lenz, a businessman, purchased the land and his crew unearthed this stone about 90 feet down the hole. No traces of the original have survived, even though it was said to have been viewed by hundreds of people while in the home of a local family. The most famous and generally accepted translation of the stone came from Reverend A.T. Kempton, saying the inscriptions translate to 40 feet below 2 million pounds are buried. Everyone is wondering what treasures await them, but me? I'm more fascinated by the construction. I mean, look at this diagram of the hole. Not only is the hole itself impressive, but there's access tunnels that are attached. It's also filled with booby traps designed to flood the shaft with seawater, making excavation almost impossible. Despite numerous attempts, no one has been able to reach the bottom and uncover the treasure. So how was this hole constructed at least 200 years ago when we can't even get to the treasure with today's technology? And most importantly, what treasure lies at the bottom to need a hole this advanced? That's the question that's puzzled treasure hunters for centuries. This hole is up there with the pyramids for me in terms of making such an advanced structure with no modern tools. Over the years, many have tried to uncover the secrets of the Money Pit. From the Legina brothers and even President Franklin Roosevelt himself, the quest for treasure has attracted countless adventurers. Theories about what's buried range from pirate treasure to Shakespearean manuscripts and even the Holy Grail. Some believe the most infamous pirate, Captain Kidd, buried his treasure there, while others speculate it could be the lost jewels of Marie Antoinette. There are even theories suggesting that the Money Pit could be hiding religious artifacts, such as the Ark of the Covenant or the menorah from the Second Temple. So, what makes the Oak Island Money Pit so special? Well, it's a combination of mystery, history, and the thrill of the hunt. Each discovery, no matter how small, adds another piece of the puzzle. One of the most mysterious books in the world is the Voynich Manuscript, said to be an enigma that has puzzled scholars for centuries, and it continues to baffle researchers to this day. The Voynich Manuscript is an illustrator codex, handwritten in an unknown script referred to as Voynich cheese. The manuscript is named after Wilfrid Voynich, a Polish book dealer who purchased it in 1912. The manuscript consists of around 240 pages, but there is some evidence that some pages are missing. It has been carbon dated to the early 15th century, specifically between 1404 and 1438. This dating places it in the medieval period, a time rich with mysticism, alchemy, and early stirrings of modern science. What makes the Voynich manuscript so intriguing is its content. Look at this page. The script looks like real words and not just incoherent scribbles. It's unlike anything I've ever seen. And then, what I presume is a vegetable looks like a fusion of carrots, roots, bok choy, and a pineapple with flowers on top. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to check it out. Despite numerous attempts, no one has been able to decipher the text. Some believe it's a coded language, while others think it might be a hoax or a work of fiction. The script, Voynich cheese, does not correspond to any known language, and its unique structure has stumped cryptographers and linguists alike. Like, bruh, they have one job and they can't figure this out. But over the years, many theories have emerged about the manuscript's purpose and origins. Some suggest it could be a medical guide, while others think it might be an alchemical text. Today, the Voynich manuscript is housed at Yale University's library. It continues to attract researchers and cryptographers from around the world. Who knows? Maybe one day we'll finally uncover its secrets. On the morning of June 30th, 1908, eyewitnesses near the Tunguska River in Siberia, Russia reported seeing a bluish light moving across the sky, followed by a flash and a pillar of fire, ending with a massive explosion. The explosion was so powerful that it knocked people off their feet and broke windows hundreds of miles away. This explosion flattened over 500,000 acres of forest and is estimated to have released energy equivalent up to 50,000 kilotons of TNT. To put that into perspective, the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima released about 15 kilotons of TNT, making the Tunguska explosion 3,000 times more powerful. The shockwave from the explosion was detected as far away as England, and atmospheric pressure changes were recorded all over the world. What the hell caused this to happen? The investigation of the explosion first started in 1921 by Soviet scientist Leonid Kulik. Kulik interviewed local witnesses and began the lengthy hike in treacherous terrain. Heavy snowfall and freezing cold Siberian weather seeped into his bones. The journey was not easy, but when he finally found the location, what he discovered was confusing and haunting. Trees were toppled over and scorched, all turned with their roots pointing towards the center of the explosion. Mysteriously, there was no evidence of an impact crater or meteorite fragments. The location he unearthed hinted at a phenomenon beyond comprehension. Some scientists suggest it could have been a comet. Comets are composed of ice and dust, which could explain the lack of an impact crater and the extensive damage caused by the explosion. To this day, the Tunguska explosion's origin is still undetermined and remains the largest impact event in recorded history. Thank you for joining us on this journey through some of the most unexplained mysteries from around the world. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you want more, and as always, try not to fall down another rabbit hole.